All right, hello. This is a quick little video going over some concepts from Unit 8, Part 2, worksheet number 2. I'm going to skip around a little bit on this one. We are going to dive in starting with number 2, Part A. This is asking to find the missing angle measures below. So let's start by finding the measure of angle S. So for this, I'm going to mark angle S here. Now from angle S, it gives me the opposite side and the adjacent side. So when I have opposite and adjacent, that tells me that I need to use tangent, okay? Because that is TOA. So I'm gonna do tangent of the angle. I don't know the angle. I can put an X there. I can use the letter S if I want. It doesn't really matter. It's just tangent of some angle equals opposite over adjacent. So 16 over 21. Now, what we learned in class is that in order to cancel out tangent, I have to take the tangent inverse of both sides. Okay, so it's the same thing as undoing like a square, you square root. To undo tan, I do the inverse of tan, which we just call tangent inverse. So the inverse and the tangent cancel each other out. It leaves me just with an X equals, and then in my calculator, I'm just gonna type in tangent inverse of 16 over 21. So I'm going to do it in this calculator. I showed in class how to use the other calculator, but second tan in this one, so tangent inverse of 16 over 21 gives me 37.3, and for angle measures, we are going to round to the nearest degree. So we will just say 37 degrees on this one. So if this angle is 37 degrees, to find the other angle, we don't need to do trig again. What we know is that the two acute angles of a right triangle have to add to 90 degrees, since this other angle is 90, and all three have to add to 180. So 90 plus these 90s add together to 180. So the trick is I'm just going to take 90 minus the angle I just found, which is 37, to get my other angle measure. 53 degrees. Easy enough. All right. You can try part B on your own. Let's skip down to number 3, part A. Now this one, it says solve for X, Y, and Z. Now for X, this is a side length, and I am going to use the Pythagorean theorem for this one. And that's because I know 2 out of 3 sides. If I know 2 out of 3 sides in a right triangle, I can always use Pythagorean theorem. You might even recognize that this is a triple. This is a 7, 24, 25 times 2. 7 times 2 is 14. 24 times 2 is 28. So 25 times 2 is my answer for X, which is 50. All right. Now, I could just have done 48 squared plus 14 squared equals X squared and just done the Pythagorean theorem and solved. And when you do that, you still get X equals 50. Moving on to solving for Y. Y is an angle. If I'm looking for an angle measure and I don't know this other one, I have to use trig. So from angle Y, the opposite side is 14 and the adjacent side is 48. So I'm going to use tangent again. Again, I knew the opposite side and the adjacent side, which means it's a TOA. I'm going to use tangent. So to solve, I'm going to do tangent of Y is equal to the opposite side, 14, over 48. To cancel out tangent, I have to inverse the other side. So I'm going to hit second tangent. So for that tan inverse, 14 over 48, and I get my answer, which is about 16 degrees. Okay, if that is 16 degrees, to find the other angle, I'm going to do 90 minus 16. So that's to find Z. So 90 minus 16 is 74 degrees. Perfect. All right, now letter B for number 3 is just a little bit different. This time, it gives me an angle measure, okay? So finding Z should be pretty easy. I just am going to do 90 minus 62. Once I know one of the angle measures, finding the other one isn't very hard. So 90 minus 62 is 28. So Z, 28 degrees. Kind of skipping around with this one, but that one's the easiest to do, so I'm going to do that one first. Let's solve for x. Problem is I cannot do Pythagorean theorem because I do not have 2 out of 3 sides. This means I'm going to use trig to find my sides. So if I'm looking for x from the angle that's 62 degrees, x is the adjacent side. I'm going to use tangent again because I know opposite and I'm looking for adjacent. All right, so if I know the opposite side, I'm looking for the adjacent side. Again, this is going to be tangent. So it's tangent of the angle. This time I know the angle, 62, equals opposite over adjacent. So 14 over x. Now, this time the letter is on the bottom, so that's when you do the little swap. So my answer is going to be x equals 14 divided by tangent of 62. So you swap the entire thing. You don't, sometimes students think you just swap the number. You swap the entire thing. So 14 divided by tangent of 62 is 7.44. You should get like actual, like not a weird answer. If you forgot to put the tangent and you just did 14 over 62, you're going to get like 0.2, which would be kind of a weird side length. So your answer should make some logical sense. Now solving for y, I would actually use trig again. This time I'm solving for the hypotenuse. And again, I'm going to use this opposite side and the hypotenuse to solve for y. Opposite and hypotenuse, that's so. So I'm going to use sine. It's always sine of the angle, so sine of 62 equals opposite over hypotenuse, 14 over y. Again, the letter's on the bottom, so this is when I do the swap. So I'm going to get y equals 14 divided by sine of 62. 14 divided by sine 62. 15.86, we'll say. You could say 8.5 or 8.6. Makes sense. It's the longest side, so it's the biggest number. Looks good. You can try the third one on your own. And the last one I want to do in this video is just this kind of word problem. It's just kind of, we're going to do a whole day of word problems, but this one says a 17-foot ladder, so this ladder is 17 feet, is placed 8 feet away from the bottom of a brick wall. This is 8. It says find the angle the ladder makes with the ground. So that's this angle right here. All right. So from this angle, 8 is the adjacent side and 17 is the hypotenuse. So if I know the adjacent and the hypotenuse, that means I'm going to use cosine, ka. All right, so cosine of the angle, well, that's what I'm looking for. We'll call that x, is 8 over 17. All right, cool. To cancel out cosine, I have to inverse both sides. So I have to inverse the other side. Cosine inverse of 8 over 17 is 61.9. Let's round it to 62 degrees. Beautiful. All right, so that's just a little video kind of reviewing some of the concepts we talked about in class and going over some homework problems. Hope it helps.